when I interviewed Trump in September, we got into this exact thing. It was as if you two and I had sat down and had a strategy session about what to ask Trump before the interview, because you'll see I'm asking him these very questions, and how he answered them was interesting. And I will say, even in the moment and thereafter, has been a reminder to me that Trump is smart. He is a clever guy, and he saw me coming, from a mile away, and he knew right when to get out of bounds or when to stay in the ring. He's clever, because his freedom is on the line, and he must be, but he's clearly been paying attention. Watch what happened.
The obstruction case says, so even if you had the right to the documents, once you get the subpoena, you got to fork them over. The subpoena said, give us anything with a classified marking. Go ahead.
This is just like the Mueller stuff. They create a fake crime, and then they say you obstructed. I have been complied with everything. They took documents that they weren't even allowed to do. But they took documents. They took everything.
I have,
and I would have given it to them. All I know is I'm allowed to have those documents.
But once you get a subpoena, you have to turn them over.
I know this. I don't even know that, because I have the right to have those documents. So I don't really know that. I don't think there's any dispute that I'm covered under the Presidential Records Act.
Well, you're covered, but it's not clear that it allowed you to take all those documents. You can't say...
It says what it says. You're allowed. And
do you believe that every CIA document that came to you as president was automatically yours to keep no matter what?
I'm not going to answer that question
so
because...
that's the dispute.
No. I did absolutely nothing wrong. And I wouldn't even be talking to you if I thought I did.
So it's pretty telling, right? Where he's like, I'm not going to answer that one, because that question got right down to the heart of what we're arguing. Does CIA highly classified briefings to the president in a document become the president's property to do with what he wants just because he has it, right? That's kind of what I'm asking there. And he knows enough to know that's too controversial for me to just say yes to, even though it appears to be what he did. He's arguing the Mike Davis argument, which is yes, that is what I believe, but he didn't want to quite go that far. Go ahead, Dave.
Megyn, it is telling, though, that Trump never raised this as a defense until much later. This is indeed the Mike Davis defense. Not until Mike Davis brought this up was this adopted as a defense, because Jack Smith cites in his pleadings, he said that we have spoken to all these witnesses at the White House. No one ever heard Donald Trump consider these documents presidential records or personal records. He's never spoken about it. It was never even brought up until later. And that's apparently the time when Mike Davis, smart lawyer as he is, brought it up, and then they adopted it. So to be presidential records, you have to believe that they are personal records. But in any event, it doesn't matter, because classified documents are classified documents. And even if you believe you own them, you don't, any more than you own Air Force One.
Well, this is what Judge Cannon needs to decide. Meantime, and we'll watch it. Obviously, this has huge implications for how this case is going to go forward, when it's going to go forward, if it's going to go forward. Meantime, there's been shock and horror in the press over what Judge Cannon is doing. As you point out, she hasn't actually made the ruling of what the jury instruction will be yet, but she's clearly entertaining two possibilities only, and neither is particularly great for Jack Smith. So here's just a sampling of what we've heard in response. Satu.
I'm concerned about her handling this case. I'm not sure that she has the legal acumen. I don't have confidence in her abilities to be fair or to be seen as fair.
I don't think her conduct is baffling. I think it's intentional. So she is consistently making erroneous legal decisions. They are consistently always on the side of Donald Trump.
If she makes these wacko rulings like she made last time,
she's got at least a pinky finger on the scales of justice for Donald Trump.
So to correct myself, that was a stop montage of criticism of Judge Cannon even prior to now. But I could have put one together in response to this ruling too. They're upset and they're on Jack Smith's side. They share his outrage. This is unfair, and so on and so forth. But out of the other side of their mouths, Mike, they're very, very upset at Donald Trump being critical of the judges. They could say whatever they want. Michael Cohen can say whatever he wants about Donald Trump. So can Stormy Daniels. And the pundits can say whatever they want about this judge. The one thing that cannot happen is that the defendant in these four cases be critical of the judges, because somehow they're transforming that into, quote, threats, that the judges are being threatened, and that he therefore has to be gagged. We have seen him gagged in the New York criminal case, though not when it comes to criticizing the judge himself, and not when it comes to criticizing DA Alvin Bragg. But what we've heard is this sanctimonious, parade of witnesses on the left saying how wrong it is to, quote, attack a judge. While I just played you right there some of the criticisms Judge Cannon has received. And by the way, she too has had death threats from anti-Trump lunatics who promised to kill her, one of whom has already been sent to jail. It does happen, but these same people who were so outraged that Trump had some criticism of Judge Merchan in New York had no problem with Eric Holder or any of these other people and their criticisms of Judge Cannon. What do you make of it?
Well, I would say this: if there's anyone on the planet who must have the constitutional right to speak out about the judge, about his staff, about the prosecutor, about the witnesses, about the potential conflict of interest of the judge with his adult children, with the process, it is a criminal defendant going through a criminal process. He has the absolute First Amendment right to speak out about those issues. He has the Sixth Amendment right to a fair, public, and speedy trial. He has the right to confront witnesses. And to label as a violent threat when a criminal defendant brings forward evidence of potential bias by the judge is the most dangerous thing I can imagine in our judicial system. That criminal defendants are punished. They're unconstitutionally, illegally gagged, and illegal prior restraint on free speech. It hobbles their ability to have a fair trial, to have due process. And take Trump out of the picture. If they were doing this to any other criminal defendants, these same people would be outraged. But because this is Donald Trump, they have a different set of rules. They have Trump derangement syndrome. Remember, these same people who are going crazy because President Trump correctly raised evidence that Judge Merchan, who donated to President Biden in 2020 a small amount, and donated to another anti-Trump group in 2020 a small amount, his adult daughter, according to the New York Post, is making a lot of money fundraising for Democrats, including fundraising for this trial over which her father is presiding.
With cyber attacks on the rise, protecting your data security is more important than ever. So why is Congress considering a bill that could put your credit card data at greater risk of being hacked and exposed to foreign networks? Our advertiser, the Electronic Payments Coalition, says the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill shifts billions in consumer spending to less secure payment networks, all so that corporate megastores can make bigger profits. Find out more about the issue at electronicpaymentscoalition.org and decide for yourself if you would like to tell your senators to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.